Hey folks, it's your old pal Justin Robert Young here. If you want to support this show, then go ahead and do it at patreon.com/JURY. There, you can not only make sure that you support independent political media, which is something that does not happen unless you guys do it. Also, if you want 3 times the podcast, then you can go ahead and do it by being a patron at the $3 and up level. That means you get a headline edition and a specialized RSS feed. Put it in the podcatcher of your choice. Couldn't be easier, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and do it at patreon.com/JURY. See you there, folks.
But all the money in the Bank of England couldn't pay enough to keep young Johnny Jones away from old Broadway.
Oh, folks, we are just getting ever so closer to the Philly shows. If you are going to be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the next 2 weeks, well, here's what specifically the 17th and the 18th of November, here's where you need to be. If you're going to be at PAX Unplugged on Friday, me and my co-creator, the contender, John Teasdale, are going to be giving a talk at PAX Unplugged. So, 3 p.m. on Friday, the 17th, how to lose $40,000 on a successful Kickstarter. We will learn you up and then show you how you're better than us because you did not lose $40,000 on a Kickstarter. Then, the next night, the 18th, I am doing my live Politics show. It is free to get in with a $10 suggested donation. We are going to be at Shot Tower Coffee at 7 p.m. That is at 542 Christian Street. Again, live Politics at Shot Tower Coffee, 542 Christian Street. It's going to be a different kind of show. I guarantee you guys are going to like it. I'm going to do my oral history of the Monica Lewinsky scandal, my favorite scandal in all of politics. Man, it's going to be a blast. So again, the 17th, 3 p.m. at PAX Unplugged. That's for card games and board games if you ain't hip to the lingo. November 18th, that's a Saturday, 7 p.m., Shot Tower Coffee, 542 Christian Street. I will see you, Philly! Hey, but what do you say we stop talking about how we support the show and actually just do the damn thing?
Politics.
Oh, here we go. I gotta change that music. It is way too mellow. But welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Politics show. My name is Justin Robert Young. I'm going to be your host. If you are watching us live, one of our amazing listeners created for us an actual ticker scroll. So we will be able to enter in whatever we want into this ticker scroll. It is going to be absolutely amazing. We are continuing to work on it and make it even better. There we go. We just actually slowed it down. Okay. So here we go. Big night. Very excited to have it. This show right after Election Day. Wednesday's a good day to do a politics show because we can talk about the results that happen. And I'm gonna give you guys a little annoyance I had last night. Little annoyance that I had last night because there were a couple elections, and you know that there is nothing that I like more on this show than elections. I really don't like governing. I don't like politicians, to be brutally honest with you. I like elections. It's like Randall and Clerks. Oh, I like parties, but you hate people. I know. Isn't that weird? I hate politicians. I think that they're all kind of weird lizards. But I love the fact that there are these popularity contests for which we have the state of our democracy is decided by the very weird contest wherein we tell people that they have to go into a booth and press our button. So we have a few of them yesterday. And I had a busy night, but I got a chance to flip around the channels a little bit. I tune into CNN, and all of a sudden, I hear people singing my song. I do. I hear everybody out here, singing the song that I've been singing since the beginning of this show, right? All of a sudden, I turn on CNN and I hear, "That's just the wave." That's just the wave. That's just the wave. This is what I've been saying on this show, that we have to watch out. We are on Wave Watch. I got to get a stinger for that. We got it now that we're actually into Wave Watch. I got to get a big echo Wave Watch and maybe a ding 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 ding. Some ocean sounds in the background. Well, then I turn on MSNBC. I wonder how MSNBC is talking about this, and man, they're even more excited about it than CNN, right? Because they're the liberal network. So I hear them singing my song. And quietly get swallowed by a wave. I mean, they're so excited about it. They're playing it twice. It gets swallowed by a wave. I'm like, wait a minute. This can't be. I'm turning on Fox News. Fox News. And even they're saying,
for grills.
Remember, just wave.
It's a little older and a little wider than MSNBC and CNN. They had Kanye and the Decemberists. But look at this. I mean, even Fox News is looking at the results that happened last night and hitting us with,
for grills.
Remember, just wave.
But you want to know what? This show's smarter than them. You're goddamn right. Now that we have a ticker down on the screen, we're able to do whatever the hell we want. The only thing holding us back from CNN, Fox, and MSNBC was that they have a ticker and we didn't. Well, guess what? Here we go. I'm putting this on the ticker. Ho, ho, ho. We have a machine gun now. Boom. That's on the ticker. Because I'm here to hit everybody last night that was talking about that as a wave. Everybody that wants to talk about the drumming that Gillespie got in Virginia, about the fact that Chris Christie's going to be succeeded by a Democrat in New Jersey, about all these state races, these mayoral races. It was a big night for Democrats. But if you are out here in these streets parroting what these 24 hours news networks are telling you, parroting what all these inside the Beltway motherfuckers are telling you, well, then I have an urgent news bulletin.
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
In fact, I'm putting that on the scroll. Report. Let's not start sucking each other's dicks just yet. The Wolf. There we go. I'm ready. I'm hitting y'all with it one more time.
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
It's quite, not just. Let me change it here. Quite yet. There we go. Now we're here. I mean, listen. It has been hard times, Daddy, when it comes to when it comes to good news for Democrats lately. It has. I'm not here to rain on any parade, but I am telling you that indeed it is rain that we are looking at and not a wave. Let's face facts. Virginia was won by Hillary Clinton. It should have been won by the Democrat in a race. And also, there's a lot of criticism that you can give Gillespie about how he ran that campaign. Chris Christie lost that governorship for New Jersey, for the New Jersey Republican Party, under a skin fold at some point while he was shoving his head up his ass. There was no way that a Republican was going to win the governor's mansion of New Jersey. It's hard to do it in general. Chris Christie, when he was at his best, was able to do it. He fucked up so bad that governor's mansion was lost months and months ago. So the fact that there is excitement to me for Democrats is, it's more in the exit polls. That's really what it is. The fact that there is, a stronger turnout from people that are very, very critical of Donald Trump is something that you need. Because I was reading a piece by Harry Enton of 538 today. He made a really, really good point that ultimately Hillary Clinton only got a little over 50% of people who were very, very, very critical of Trump to vote for her. That is bad. That is very bad. So you need closer to 70% if you are going to affect wider change. Yes, last night was a good night for Democrats. And again, after all the false starts with the special elections, after John laughing your ass off down there in Georgia, there is, I think, a very, 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 liberals are very desirous. It's my favorite word again. Desirous to see a good night. But if you think that this is a solid omen, that there will definitely be a wave in the elections next November, a year from today, well, I got a November 6th upshot poll that I'd like to show you. Don't upshot yourselves. That's what I'm saying. Like this is exactly the trap that everybody fell into during the 2016 election, when everybody was looking at those upshot polls and were like, oh, what? Under 1%. Under 1% chance that Donald Trump wins? Oh. Stoic Squirrel in the chat says the 2016 election proved that anything can happen. Sure. But that's not what this is about. And it's not what the wave's about. And this is going to be your number one place for Wave Watch. Wave Watch! Because these are good signs. But number one, the world can be a very different place a year from now. And B, well, here, let me, I know for the audio listeners, it's not great for me to argue with the chat, but I do want to pull something up because, again, I don't want to be the rain on the parade. Seiden says, all the data from last night would indicate that a hard blue turn is very likely at this juncture. I don't disagree with anything that you just said, man. I don't disagree that all the data from last night, where was the data collected? In Virginia, which is a purple state, but it voted for Clinton. In New Jersey, in Detroit, in South Florida. These are democratically leaning places. And yes, these are important data points, and they are the best data points that we have right now. And I will disagree with W. Scott is one in the chat that says, personally, I think it's way too early to start thinking about 2018 already. No. This is the big home of Wave Watch, and we will think about 2018 every episode of this goddamn show until we get to 2018. However, Despite the fact that the data is there now, doesn't mean that that's going to be where the data is in a year. It's good. Doesn't mean anything necessarily. Number two, there are other indicators that we need to look at. Don't get caught up in the narrative. Because, by the way, do you want to know what everybody's screaming about the wave is all about? I'll tell you. It's not about enthusiasm. It's not about accurately predicting everything. It's effectively becoming a gigantic infomercial for Democratic donors to open up their wallets, for mainstream candidates that can win elections a year from now to get off their ass and off the fence and run for office. That is what this narrative is about right now. This is not talking to the rank and file. These are talking to donors and candidates. And yes, Virginia went from red to purple in 2008, and now it's going from purple to blue. These are encouraging signs. But I offer it to you one more time.
Well, let's not start sucking each other's dicks quite yet.
I'm just saying. This is going to take a lot. There is a tremendous amount of things that need to go right for the Democrats if they are going to flip the House. History is on its side. America does not like one party controlling all the Congress and the White House, Senate, House of Representatives, and the White House. They don't like it historically, no matter who's in charge. In the same way that America usually doesn't like one party being the president for 3 terms in a row. But let me show you some encouraging news. More encouraging news. Well, all right, here. Let me ask you. Do you want the sweet or the sour? I'm talking to my hill dogs. Arr, arr, arr. Talking to my Bernie bros. Talking to everybody that votes blue. If you vote blue, tell me, do you want the sweet or the sour? Because I got both for you here. I'm like a Chinese dish. I got sweet and sour for you, and it's all gonna be mixed up. You just would need to know what taste you want first. What do you want? You want the sour? Here's the sour. I would say that there was a wave if this happened. This did not happen. But there was a election up for grabs in a red district in a state that went for Trump. It was the Jason Chaffetz seat. And that Jason Chaffetz seat did not go to the Democrat. Republican John Curtis easily beat Democratic Kathy Allen, even in Salt Lake County. So part of the Utah district that Jason Chaffetz held was in Salt Lake County, which does lean more that does lean more liberal, and even did during the election. So that's not something that you would expect. That's not something that you would necessarily, that you would necessarily even think would happen. But if you want to, if the question is what could happen that would make me think, oh my God, this is overwhelming, that's what I would say. And if what we're talking about are a combination of independents, never Trump, and blue enthusiasm, then a state that was so anti-Trump that it put Evan McMullin into a competitive state of the race. Granted, Evan McMullin is a Utah guy, Mormon, but was a hardcore never Trump. There's a hardcore never Trump element to Utah. I would say if that happened, I'd be like, man, I wouldn't be playing the wolf sounder. I'd be saying, hey, this is, gather up into the life rafts. Tsunamis here. So that's the sour. Let's go ahead and into the suite. And by the way, we are getting breaking news here that CNN has to be sold if the Time Warner Cable and AT&T merger is to go through. So CNN being sold to somebody else, I'd be curious to see who would want to buy them. And on top of that, it would be interesting to see, whether or not that scuttles the merger. And so, listen, again, with the Utah thing, the Never Trump not voting for Dems, you want Never Trump people to be voting Democratic. Do you want them to be voting for people that they would not normally vote for? If what you want is a wave, you need to be swaying these people. So again, if what we are taking from last night, is just there are data. There's data here that says that there is a hardcore shift. I would agree there is a hardcore shift in more electric liberal enthusiasm. But the wave happens with independents. And the wave happens with people that hate Trump being motivated to the polls and voting for people that they wouldn't otherwise. In the same way that, you want people that used to be the blue dog Democrats, right? That's who you want. So, this is all I'm saying. If we're looking at this as predictive, this is good. This is good, right? I'm not saying this is bad. This is very good. I'm just not saying book the ballrooms for a year from now. You can get a better discount if you book them ahead of time. All I'm saying is pump the brakes. We got a long way between here and there. I don't think that I'm doing anything necessarily totally out of pocket here. There were there's great news that happened last night. The first transgender public official was elected last night. I believe it's a state delegate in Virginia. We have two more Republican House of Representatives officials saying that they are not going to run. That means that there are more up for grab seats. That does make a wave statistically more likely. These are the sweet things. There's plenty of sweet things. All I am saying is that it wasn't a wave last night. Anybody who calls it a wave, I don't think we're talking in the same lingo. But it was a bucket of water. So here we go. Let's get into some of the actual Wave Watch. For those of us who are actually on Wave Watch and not just here to, get everybody all riled up. Two longtime GOP lawmakers announced their retirements Tuesday from the House of Representatives. This comes from CBS News. 12-term Rep Frank Lobianodo of New Jersey declared in a statement that our nation is now consumed by increasing political polarization and there is no longer a middle ground. The 71-year-old became the latest moderate Republican to leave Congress and open up a seat that will be ripe for Democrats to pick it up as they fight to retake control of the House next year. Then, several hours later, 7-term Representative Ted Poe of Texas, a conservative, announced that he too plans to retire rather than seek re-election to another term next year. Poe, 69, whose district covers parts of Houston and the northern suburbs, said in a statement that, "Thank the Lord, I'm in good health, but it's time for the next step." He added that he was looking forward to spending more time with his grandkids. Now, Poe's district is far more solidly Republican. So that would be more of a challenge. But New Jersey, New Jersey's in play. And also, the more incumbents you don't have to run against, the more of a chance you have to win the majority. if you are the Democrats. The more times you scratch off the lotto ticket, the more chances that you have to win. All right, let's get into some of the more news of the week. Probably the biggest news of the week that broke last Friday was Donna Brazile is releasing a new book. In that book, chronicling her time, her brief tenure as the head of the DNC in crisis during the Democratic National Convention and afterward, Donna says that she was shocked to learn that the party was effectively under the control of Hillary Clinton. In fact, she basically said, and this is me paraphrasing, that Hillary Clinton put the Democratic National Committee on a starvation diet, that through the Obama campaign, the DNC was $24 million in debt, that Hillary Clinton paid down a vast majority of that debt, and that in doing that, she wanted to know where the money was going. However, that control might have extended further than it would have otherwise, considering that she was still running for the party's nomination. Now, what does that control entail? Well, apparently it was over hiring and firing, and it was over messaging. According to Donna Brazile, the DNC could not send out a press release unless the Brooklyn office of Hillary Clinton's campaign said they could. So, what does this mean? Well, in Donna Brazile's own context, she said it was a very hard conversation she had to have with Bernie Sanders. Because as Bernie Sanders asked her personally to assure him that the party was not leaning against him, she had to basically tell him that it was. Hillary Clinton had a tremendous amount of clout. Now, who is Donna Brazile? Well, Donna Brazile probably came to national prominence when she ran Al Gore's campaign. She is very, very loquacious. She is a great on-camera personality. And, you know, she was probably the kind of soul of Democratic thought in a post-George W. Bush world. Making clear that, you know, George W. Bush was the guy that you wanted to spend time with, and Al Gore simply wasn't. There was also the fact that in a losing campaign, you know, there's the old phrase, right? That success has a million fathers and failure is an orphan. So in a losing campaign, everybody wants to point fingers. Now, does Donna Brazile have credibility? I think she has as much credibility as anybody who's, you know, trying to figure out where they go in the Democratic Party. I mean, you know, there's obviously a bias here. Although I would argue that the bias probably extended back to when she was running the Gore campaign and decided that the Clintons were somebody that they wanted to distance themselves from. But what makes these charges stick is the fact that this was a cross-party popular thought. You know? The Republicans certainly thought that there was no way that Hillary Clinton was not going to get out of that primary. In fact, hell, they thought that back in 2008 when she actually didn't get out of the primary. But for everybody who's like, oh, okay, well, what does this really mean? Did Donna Brazile have control of all the Democratic electorate? Bernie Sanders wasn't even a registered Democrat, and by the way, still isn't. All true. Where I think her control of the party would make the most influence is not in when the voting or the debates were happening, but before. So if you're inside the Democratic Party and you know more things than the average person does, and hell, even we do as everybody's writing all these tell-alls, what are the concrete ways that you know Hillary Clinton is going to be the Democratic candidate? Well, stuff like this. That you know that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is there to be installed as a person to uphold the agreement that the Clinton campaign has signed with the DNC, and that nobody else has a shot. So, Stoic Squirrel's in the chat right now that it's up to the people to decide who becomes the nominee. 100%. I agree with that. Shut up and play. Everyone's got to go ahead and make their case. But where I do think it matters is who runs. Do you think that Joe Biden knew about how much control Hillary Clinton had over the DNC? Because I would guess he would. And if he's trying to figure out the calculus in his head on whether or not he's going to run, I think that works into it. I think that the fact that opening, the opening Republican debate, they had to extend the stage between the Quicken Loans Arena and the Progressive Field right next to it in Cleveland. There were so many goddamn people on that stage. And it was from all walks of life, including the man that eventually became president, who at that point was literally just a circus curiosity. The opening field for the Democrats was Jim Webb, Martin O'Malley, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and the legend, Lincoln Chafee. I would say before that debate started, 3 of those candidates were a joke. One is an open socialist who isn't even a Democrat, and the other 3 were jokes to begin with. Maybe O'Malley was running as a dry run just to see how he played, but nobody took them seriously. There was no real challenger to Hillary Clinton. And I don't even necessarily think that this was crooked by Hillary, to use a turn of phrase. I just think it was overly cautious. And I do think that it dampens enthusiasm. It dampens Hillary, the capacity for Democratic electorate to be enthusiastic for Hillary. You want to see your candidate trade pain a little bit. So, I thought, even then, and you heard it on this show, that Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden should have been on that stage. I think it was their turn to run as well. I think that they would have spoken to different elements of the Democratic Party, but neither did. And Hillary Clinton's main claim to fame was, I'm the legacy of the Obama administration and I'm the first woman to run. So, I do think that that this affected how the primary was staffed more than I believe that it affected how the primary ran out, as it were. And I'm not saying that this was the reason Biden didn't run. I am, however, saying that It probably factored into those things. As for Donna Brazile, well, ladies and gentlemen, I have an update. Hold on, wait. I gotta put it on the scroll. Because a few people have called me out on it, and I'm here to come clean. I can't get through the Hillary Clinton book. I can't. I have tried many times. Many times I have tried. And the reason why I can't get through it is not necessarily because I don't like what I hear. It's more that it's just boring. You know, when you get to the point where Hillary Clinton's talking about alternating nostril breathing, it's like, man, I'm not here for this. I'm not here for alternating nostril breathing. I'm here for campaign dirt, and more than campaign dirt, I'm here to know what it's like to be Hillary Clinton. I'm here to be in that room when you are looking ashen face at everybody and you feel like you have let the world down. I want to know what that sounds like. But what that book is, at least everything that I have read, is just like, you know, it's very painfully ghostwritten. Number one, I mean, Hillary Clinton's got a line in here where she's talking about vacationing in Bali. Like, do you really think that Hillary Clinton has ever thought to herself, I want a vacation in Bali? Ever? Like, that lady does not seem like somebody who takes vacations. And then she goes on to say, I hate vacations. I want to know who that woman is. I want to know who that workaholic is. I want to know what it feels like to have your world crumble around you. And we have gotten precious little of that in the book. So, yeah, she takes her shots. You know, but they all came out early. And I'm just letting you guys know I'm tapping out. Which is why, breaking news, Hack, I forget what it's called, the Donna Brazile book is replacing Clinton on the Campaign Chaos Book Club. This is one of the things that Donna Brazile says, that she thought about replacing Clinton on the campaign. Well, I'm replacing her on the Campaign Chaos Book Club. As soon as that book comes out, we are going to read it. We will do the Campaign Chaos Book Club. I'm tapping out on the Clinton book. I apologize. This is unprofessional, but you know, I got to do what I got to do. This was just killing me. Just killing me to read it. So there we go. Let's see. When does this come out? When does Hacks Donna Brazile? This is... Oh, is it available now? Yeah, it looks like it might be available now. Yeah, oh no, sorry. Yeah, yesterday. Released on Audible yesterday. So, it's over. It's over, Johnny. I am reading the Donna Brazile book. It's Hacks. So we are going to be reading that. If you want to be on the Campaign Chaos Book Club, then go ahead and pick that book up. I had to tap out on Hillary. I'm sorry. All right. You want to know what? We're not going to dwell. This show has very much been about the wave, and ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to leave you hanging any longer. We now are going to bring to you the number one most popular segment on this show. If you are listening to this for the first time, then please get into my rented limo because we are about to take data far beyond the velvet rope and let loose the carnal pleasure of surveys. Spritz that Axe body spray from the bathroom attendant and break down that $100 bill into ones because we need to pay attention to those demographic shifts. This is your
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
dance.
That booty.
This is an economist / YouGov poll for December 5th through December 7th, and it is a generic congressional ballot, otherwise known as the best bellwether we have to find out whether or not there is indeed a wave watch in effect. This survey was taken from November 5th to November 7th with a sample size of 1,337 registered voters. They were asked whether or not, without knowing who the candidates were, would you vote Republican or Democrat? Sorry, November, not December. Coming up first to the stage with 33% of the vote, we have the Republicans! Meanwhile, your headliner with 7% of the vote, very close to the 8% that Northrop won in Virginia with, we have 40% of the vote going to the Democrats! That again is the Democrats over the Republicans in the generic congressional ballot with a 7-point spread. So there we go. There we go. 33% Republicans, 40% Democrats, and you are seeing Trump's approval ratings worsen in his strongest areas of the country. Apparently not satisfied with how much they are winning just yet. I mean, again, listen. We are going to wave watch as much as we can. We have 52 episodes between now and Election Day, and it is going to be the best year ever for this podcast. I can tell you that. We already have so many awesome things planned. Might do some live shows out during the campaign, maybe during some of the debates. It is going to be awesome. Lot in or in the hopper for next year. All I'm saying is that nothing is for sure, nothing lasts forever, but until they close the curtain, it's him and I, the Wave Watch. But first, your emails. If you want to write into this show, you can go ahead and do it. theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Bill in Southwest Florida reminds us that James Comey, who, in case you don't remember, was fired fired from his dream job, fired, is now on Twitter, at Comey. He's got a book to promote, so go ahead and check it out. At Comey, at Comey, rhymes with homie, on Twitter. Neil writes, I had a bunch of things that I wanted to say, but what it boils down to is that I'm tired of the knee-jerk reactions to shootings, drug overdoses, and other hot-button issues of the day. I don't want a Band-Aid. We need long-term action. I just wish America would educate themselves rather than parrot back what we see on the internet. I feel like politicians are playing games with our lives. Yeah, I agree. I think politicians are playing games with your lives. I believe that politicians have always played games with your lives, and I believe that there is not a lot that can be done when we get super hot, so we yell about it on Twitter, so the other side quotes your Twitter and yells about how you're yelling about it on Twitter. I mean, maybe it's just me. If you are a $3 a patron on our patreon.com/JURY, then you get 2 extra bonus podcasts per week, headline editions on Monday and Friday, meaning that you are never very far from a politics podcast when news breaks. Obviously, we had the tragic shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas on Sunday. I talked about that on Monday and mentioned that something that was gaining traction in my sphere of influence was the idea that AR-15s are the problem. And it was an interesting thought that I had in that, you know, if the question is ban the AR-15 and not ban guns and not even ban assault weapons, then you are getting closer to a tighter definition. And that you can move that message further if it is ban a gun instead of ban many guns or ban all guns, which is what I view ban assault weapons and ban guns in general is, right? Gun control legislation. So I posited the theory that, hey, look, I would not be surprised if ban the AR-15 becomes a political rallying cry. Casey wrote in, I have 2 issues with you talking about today's headlines podcast. The AR-15 isn't an automatic rifle. You have to pull the trigger for each bullet to come out of the gun. The actual trend with all of these shootings isn't the weapon being used. And I hate agreeing with Trump. But it is a mental health issue, and ignoring that to attack the straw man that is guns is both misleading and irresponsible. Until we fix the mental health system in the United States, no amount of gun control will stop unstable people from killing each other. I love your show, and I get that you're talking about the political ramifications, and you're correct about that, but I'd love to have more people talking about what is actually the root cause of all this and how it can be helped. I had a friend of mine talked to me once, and I was talking about Facebook, actually. She knows that I'm a tech person. And she said, you don't just get to say that fake news isn't a problem. Come up with solutions so you can better inform the public. And so we thought about it and we came up with some ideas. It was a very, very, very important, stimulating conversation for me because very often, listen, I'm the class clown here. I'm not somebody who's going, I'm not, an important political thinker. So very often I can just point at the dumpster fire and yell about the dumpster fire and then run away from the dumpster fire. But Carrie, let me ask you this. How do we fix mental health in this country? I'm going to turn that on all the strong 2A people that are listening to this show right now. If the issue is mental health, where are we failing? And how do we make it better? That's what I want to know. Because people who want to ban guns, they got a solution. Ban the guns. And I get that what you're saying is that their solution won't work. And we've had this conversation not only on this show, but on many other shows that I've done. But let's go ahead and let's talk about that other side of the issue. Instead of just saying it's mental health and walking away, how can we make it better? Email in theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Sean writes, I'm not sure my comment is more about the tech angle or the politics angle. Since jury was on yesterday, it might as well fit into DTNS. Yesterday you mentioned how Russian-based ad spending on the last U.S. presidential election was very small. What I haven't seen is how targeted the ads were. 150 million Americans seems to not be very targeted. Oh, that's, yeah. Do we know how localized and targeted you can make Facebook ads? If I were running for a U.S. House representative position or owned a 5 or 6 store chain of pizza shops, could I buy ads that would only target my small area? Is Facebook so good that it could identify swing voters in a district? Could a small ad buy get 5,000 eyeballs, swing 1,000 votes, and put a state from one column to another? We talk about wanting better ads if we want to see them, but this could come back to bite us. Absolutely, you can target by district. Absolutely, you can target swing voters. The question is exactly how much you get in front of their eyeballs. So it can make sure that it is in their feed, whether or not they see it or how long they see it, or even if they register it, is a totally different story. So yes, 150 million, it's not 150 million. Yes, 150 million Americans saw the ad, but count up exactly how many ads you see on Facebook every day. Go ahead and keep a tally, because I guarantee you it's more than you think it is. Liam writes, just a quick bit of context regarding Scale's email. Scale, who is an Australian, wrote in last week and was an Australian who did not believe that the gun ban in Australia was best for the country, and thought that the government followed a very similar pattern of, register your guns, and then something bad happened, and then they took all the guns away. And so he is saying to Americans who are wary of registration that, hey, look, it happened in my country, it could happen in yours. So Liam writes in response, Australia's gun laws are overwhelmingly popular, which is 6% of the people saying the laws are too strong. Scale is obviously entitled to his opinion, but I didn't want your listeners to get the impression that his views were representative for all Australians. This is a democracy working as intended. Most people wanted stricter gun laws, so it happened. And for the record, the laws aren't as onerous as he made them sound. I grew up in a rural area, and every family I knew had guns. And finally, Warcow writes, in the wake of the attack in New York City on Monday, that was something else that happened. I don't know how much we talked about it last week. I was listening to Sean Hannity's radio show, Co-Workers Control the Radio, Warcow adds. In the early reports, which seemed to have been corroborated, the suspect, upon exiting the vehicle, yelled Allahu Akbar. And Hannity goes off multiple times on CNN's website about the fact that they reported it as the suspect yelled, God is great, in Arabic. Hannity, for some reason I can't quite understand, found that they didn't say Allahu Akbar extremely offensive. He went on about it for 10 minutes straight before moving on, and then continued to bring it up over and over again. I understand that Hannity and CNN have their differences of opinion, but this seemed like a pedantic and needlessly decisive thing to bring up. I assume that the majority of people reading CNN.com will be reading it in English and would not normally translate any other quote. Why is this a point of contention? If he had been yelling in Mandarin, would we have called out for them to translate that? I found it to be troubling, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the issue. While I don't particularly care for CNN or Hannity, I can't really see why anyone should have a problem with that method of reporting it. Allah Akbar. Sorry, not Allahu Akbar. My bad. Allah Akbar. Because Hannity's got to fill fucking 3 hours on a radio show, and then he's got to go on television and talk about everything again. And because the narrative is that the liberal media is brainwashing you. And, you know, if there's any way that you can point out that CNN might be soft pedaling something, then he's going to hammer him on it. Because that's what the people want to hear that listen to Hannity's radio show. And that's that. I mean, listen. Part of me feels for Hannity. Because I do this show for a grand total of about an hour and a half a week. That dude does 15 hours. And then a television show on top of it. You have no idea what kind of horse shit I would talk about if I did this show for 3 hours a day. It would be the most insane stuff. I would get into such ridiculous rabbit holes. In fact, now I kind of want to do it. Somebody get me a job. Somebody get me a job. I want to do this show. Get me on radio. Someone get me a goddamn radio agent. I want to be on here. I want to talk about the most. I want to get into. I want to make aloo akbar. I want to make potatoes, Arabic potatoes. That's what I want to do. Somebody get me. I want to make potatoes on the radio. Potato radio. Wave watch. Pole dance. That's what we're doing. Come on, baby. We can do this together. We got to scroll now. Anything is possible. Again, if you want to email the show, just go ahead and write into theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Remember that music has been provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. You can follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere. Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. I got 280 characters now, baby. We're going nuts on Twitter. You can download archive episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. But before we end, I want to, just because we're coming up on it, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. November 18th, Shot Tower Coffee. I believe it is 542. I can't remember the street. All right. 7 o'clock. Shot Tower Coffee. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I am doing the oral history of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. My favorite scandal, the first scandal that ever brought me into politics. I'm going to go blow by blow throughout that entire scandal. We're going to have a pole dance in there. It is going to be one part me explaining my own fascination with everything. One part history lesson. You guys will love it. It is going to be super, super, super awesome. Free show, $10 suggested donation, but I'm going to have some stickers to give out to everybody who comes. So if you are in the area, 542 Christian Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, go ahead and please, please, please come out to this show. This is a real big test to see whether or not y'all want to come out and see me. I'm excited to do it. So go ahead and check us out. That is at 542 Christian Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Shot Tower Coffee, 7 p.m. on November 18th. It's only 10 days away. 10 days away, I'm going to be in Philly. Oh, my God. All right. That about wraps it up for this edition of the show. Remember, some shows talk about politics. Some shows talk about politics. Man, I watched a show last night that talked about politics. But this is the only show. The only show that talks about politics. Come on, everybody. Come on back. I'll see y'all later. Yes. Wave watch!
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.